Hello, this is going to be a review video about Huckleberry Finn, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is about a boy named Huckleberry. And it is a sequel to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. This is by Mark Twain, and this was written in 1947, but I think it's written earlier than this too. But this is my copy that I bought, my mom's copy, and this was a really good book. I felt like it was funny. It had quirks about it, and it just had really funny lines. Like, let me just read the first sentence or something. Said, you don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. But that ain't no matter. That book was made by Mark Twain, and he told the truth mainly. There are things in which he stretched, but mainly he told the truth. That is nothing. I never seen anyone but lied one time or another, without it was Aunt Polly, or the widow, or maybe Mary. Aunt Polly, Tom's Aunt Polly, she is, and Mary, and the widow Douglas, is all told about in that book, which is mostly a true book, with some stretches, as I said before. So, that's the first paragraph of this book, and it's really witty, and it's basically about a sequel to as you can tell from the first. But they end up meeting a slave whose name is Jim, and Jim is very funny too. He's an adult, obviously, and both Tom and Huck are kids. They're like 12-ish, so and you can relate with kids because obviously you get in trouble and stuff like that. This is a really excellent book. It's funny, it's quirky, it's got a lot of sense of humor in it and stuff. And the kids try to make Jim do some crazy shit. I mean, some crazy stuff. And like, for example, when Tom comes back, because there's a part where there's a long part, lots of parts with just Jim and there's a lot of parts with Jim and Huckleberry Finn, and not a lot of parts with Tom. Well, Tom comes back, like he's in the beginning of the chapters and then at the end of the chapters and stuff. And Tom comes back and it's just really funny, and how Tom's more like open and he'll tell people stuff, whereas Huck don't want to get in trouble, and Huck's more like, oh, I'm gonna hide what I know kind of thing. I don't know, and stuff. Huck is also very adventurous. He likes to go on adventures, but he also likes to trick people and stuff. So he tricks Jim a lot of times. But then when Tom comes, he has a bigger, or he looks up to Tom, and so he ends up really following Tom and kind of instead of being the leader. But this book, he is really a leader in this book. So because he telling Tom or Jim what to do, and then Jim kind of does what he does, listens to Huck, and it's a really beautiful story. And I really like how they wanted to free the nigger or the black man, and I really like that in the story, that he really liked to free the black man, and in the story, free Jim. And Jim is a slave, obviously, and it does take place in a time period where people had slaves, and these white folk in the South had slaves, and Jim kind of wants to go to the North where there's no slaves. And it's really interesting because they also called the slaves, and this is derogatory, but nowadays, but they called them in the book niggers. So oh, he's my nigger, or something like that. So they really do that and stuff, which is offensive to most black people now, because that's what they used to call them back in the day. And today, the white folk called black people like that, and that's just what they called them. So, but I really like the comedy-driven part and how Tom and Huck are kind of comedians. Honestly, they just make up stories for other people to believe, and they get stuck into sticky situations and don't really get up, And a thing that I didn't really like about this book is that you meet so many characters in this book, and it's not like a good thing, like certain books like The Fountainhead and Harry Potter and other books that have like tremendous amount of characters in them. This book has characters in them, but some of them are kind of like cruel, and some of them are just like random people, which I don't really like random characters that come in and then they'll just only have one scene with the character. I'd rather the character have many scenes with them. So there's a lot of those characters, and then there's a couple characters. There was the king, I think. They called themselves the king. They were actually playwrights and artists, and they were really interesting too. I really had a fun time talking about them because they actually wanted money. They were more like thieves, but they pretended to be kings and stuff, and this other guy pretended to be a duke. So it was like it's kind of like that type of read. It is a classic, and this is a really good classic, I think, and it has really nice pictures too. Like in the front of the book, it has pictures, and also it has colored pictures like this. So it's just really, really awesome. The author or the illustrations were made by Baldwin Hawes. So if you want to look him up, but that was it was a really good story, and I hope to read it again sometime, just because, like, by myself instead of listening to the audiobook. The audiobook was really funny too because it was told in an accent, a country accent, and towards the end he would say this is a lever box recording, like he would say it in an English accent. It was funny, and I laughed at that. So he's like, now's the end of the book, and I was like, okay, you need to use your regular voice now. You're not reading the story. But anyway, this is an excellent book, and I gave it 4 out of 5. The reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5 is because some of the story is lacking. And I'm just saying that, like, it is an adventure story, but it's more of a slow adventure story, not like really a fast action-packed story. So it's a slow adventure story. So I rated this 4 out of 5. So have a really great day and the rest of the day on Friday. Bye.